Starting your Locker natural hair journey is oh so rewarding, but can be extremely stressful when you start to consider what products to use. If that's you, then look no further. Locklicious is a Black-owned company that has created an all-natural product line for locked and loose natural crowns. The Locklicious team works hard to ensure that their products are free of parabens, phthalates, sulfates, PEG, synthetics, and other toxic chemicals you find in other products. Best of all, the products are lightweight and will not leave residue or cause buildup. Go to locklicious.com to start treating your crown like royalty.
There's an author by the name of Kim Heller. She's out of South Africa, and there's some clips that, came across, my desk here, from her telling the truth about white supremacy and how it still is enacted in South Africa. And, I really got to see what she was talking about, just on my own. That's why I had said some things that I had stated. But let me go ahead and roll this particular clip, and then let's really get into it.
Well, you can't bring it down to the individual level, but we have evidence across every landscape in this country. For instance, I come onto a show, I speak English, you are entertaining me speaking English, because as a white person, I've been accustomed to black people speaking my language. So I did a talk at UNISA last year, and everyone spoke to me in English, yet I was one of the only white people. So that is the shame of being white and black in South Africa, where we bow down, I almost say we curtsy to whiteness. So whiteness isn't only about being in the economically dominant, but culturally dominant, that I am presumptuous enough to think that you must succumb to my language. But the evidence is across every landscape in the country. We actually see black people in what we can call concentration camps of poverty on their own land, living in squatter camps, and white people living like squires on land that their forefathers have stolen.
I'm getting shivers.
So the incidental white beggar is not reflective of South Africa.
Yes.
What is reflective is that land is sitting in white hands, that the economy is sitting in white hands. The fact that we have a black government in power has meant very little for the life of the ordinary black person.
Very true.
And that's why I argue very strongly in my book, white privilege rules. In fact, I sometimes wonder if the ANC mantra is do not disturb white. We're active on the research side, and yet there's an association that with white things are good. We see, for instance, this complete myth that corruption is associated with blackness, and morality is associated with whiteness. And that's possibly the biggest lie ever told in this country.
And isn't that also something that we see in things like entertainment, for example, where if something is dark, if something is evil, then it must be black. But if something is light and good and angelic, it must be white. Does that also just play on our psychology a little bit and get us to comply with how society has structured itself?
Exactly, and it's a phenomenon that's across the world. And if we look at white supremacy, we have to say objectively, it's been a very successful campaign. Because even in America, there was a classic study, and I forget what it was called now, perhaps the doctor would know, where there was an experiment done with young black African-American children. And they had to associate traits with a white doll and a black doll. And the white doll they associated, this is a pretty doll, this is a gentle doll. And the black doll was the ugly, bad doll. And it's so tragic because it comes down to self-worth. But there's this myth that white people are better. And the tragic thing of it is that black people believe that too.
Yeah, and I always say that is why apartheid works. The fact that Nazis...
As I was doing more research into Kim Heller herself, this is not something recent that she's been saying. Even around the time of back, I seen a tweet from 2019 when she was even talking about the discussions about the land in South Africa. And she was saying that for black people to even be considering white folks in a conversation about land shows black people's humanity. So they shouldn't be even discussing land with white people. So when she talked about you have a current black government in South Africa and the mantra has been do not disturb white people. That in itself, for black South Africans, is a powerful statement coming from her. Now, you will have some white people that will tell you the truth about white folks and white supremacy here in America, wherever they go. You have some, they're going to be labeled as a pariah in white society, of course. They're not going to be, respected and everything else, in white society. But you want to honor, definitely people who's trying to do what's right. Now, for what she's saying, I don't want black people to get like some black people here in America. Oh my God, you heard this white woman say it? I mean, because it's kind of obvious. I mean, she didn't say something that you didn't see already. She didn't say something that you did not experience. But the fact is, like I told y'all, the greatest thing that bothered me the most on my South Africa trip, the one thing that was told to me was, well, let's go to a black-owned business. That, like I told y'all, that just floored me. I had to chew on that for 5 minutes. For 5 minutes, I'm like, what you talking about? A black-owned business. But I'm having brothers and sisters come up to me in South Africa telling me that white folks own mostly everything. White folks, got the businesses. White folks got this. And they are a minority in South Africa. They're not the majority. And what Kim is saying here, listen, you got a black government. Why haven't they done anything about it? Now, of course, because I kind of study geopolitics, in my mind, this is what I'm thinking, why they haven't done nothing about it, at least aggressively. One name, Robert Mugabe. I'm thinking what they thinking in the back of their minds is, well, when Robert Mugabe took the land from 4,000 white folks and gave it back to the people that it belongs to, the United States and the European Union put sanctions on Zimbabwe, and they have not let the sanctions up at all. Even when you had your so-called first black president, Barack Hussein Obama, he did not even let up the sanctions on Zimbabwe. Not at all. Even after Mugabe was removed from being president, and he's dead and gone now, and they still have not removed the sanctions from Zimbabwe. Now, there's certain retaliations that should have happened because of that. I mean, I believe Mugabe should have said, okay, well, EU, none of your citizens can come in our country. You can't be here. You can't have representatives here. Same thing with the U.S. You can't do that, because I notice that every time African nations say none of your people could come in here anymore, I notice they start having a little different conversation at that point, usually. But it's been years upon years upon years. 4,000 white folks get their land taken away, and you punish millions of people with some sanctions. Very, very vindictive. Very, very vindictive. So the South African government probably thinking, well, man, if I take all the land away from them the same way, Mugabe did, then man, they made those sanctions on us too. See, that's the problem. But you know what? With unity, it doesn't even matter what they do, because let's call it what it is. Y'all got laws, y'all got constitutions now. Y'all can change a lot of that. Y'all can. Because what's the point of having a black government when you have a minority of people controlling, everything? And then even when I was told about Cape Town, black people can't afford to buy those houses in Cape Town because you have a lot of people from Qatar coming in there. And you have, of course, the white folks coming in and the Chinese coming in, all of them buying up everything in Cape Town. But what about the black people? The black people who went through apartheid, the black people who suffered, and that's what, my issue was definitely when I saw that. Now, I will say, and I will repeat this again, there's still a lot of opportunity in South Africa for sure. I still enjoyed it. I loved it when I was there, completely. But when you get into that situation, that, and I want to make sure I say everything with balance, because I understand my place as a brother, and I believe that's the fight for my brothers and sisters in South Africa. We just wanted to make sure to put out, the reports and things like that so it can get to my brothers and sisters, for them not only to think about it, but saying, you know what, maybe we need to get some, people from the soil, people from the grassroots who going to fight for our land, who going to fight for our jobs, who going to fight for making sure South Africa can be more and more prosperous. And you can't have 90% of the people not owning anything. So if your politicians won't do anything, then you must change them. It don't matter whatever party they may be, you must change them. Same thing here in America. If your politicians won't do nothing for you, like we're looking at the Democrat Party right now, how they have been just horrible to black American people, haven't done nothing to black folks and refuse to. So we're going to make sure to let them know with our collective black voice that there's going to be a consequence for that politically, for not doing nothing for black people. You can pay all the money you want to a Democrat shield. You can prop up whoever you want to prop up to try to swindle black people into voting for a Democrat. Don't matter. You got to go. And so in South Africa, since you're the majority, you can actually do that. That white minority do not really control the politics. You do. So your politicians, and you haven't, and Kim Heller's telling you that they not doing nothing about the inequality financially, about the land and ownership and everything in South Africa, change it. Because I'm a firm believer of, okay, we see an issue, we talk about it. Now, what we're going to do about it? Because gone are the days of black people just getting together, talking about it and complaining about it and saying, oh, look at this will happen and look at that one. And, oh, we treated so bad. Okay, we know that already. Now it got to get to the doing. You understand? And I know I've been seeing, definitely the situation about the immigration and how brothers and sisters are pissed off about that. I get it. But I believe you should take that same energy also and apply it to a situation like that. I think probably more energy should go to why white folks own everything and own the economy in South Africa, and the majority of black people don't. I'm just saying, because those immigrants that's coming in, even though some of them aren't doing good things, even though some of them, are doing things illegally, and they should not do that, and they should be arrested when they're doing things they should have no business, come in the right way. But the white folks that's in South Africa, that's more of your issue. That's your issue. That you get the wealth out of the hands of the white folks and put in the black South African hand. Then we could really talk about wealth and everything like that. So I was gonna let my brothers and sisters know what's going on here. Just what Kim Heller is saying. Like I said, hey, I'm a firm believer of if you're an individual that's rocking with black people, I'll rock with you. I don't rock with groups, but I rock with individuals. But my brothers and sisters in South Africa, let us know what you think, and also brothers and sisters here, let us know what you think about what she is saying. I still say, and I repeat this again, I still say I'd rather deal with the issues in South Africa than the issues here in America, because at least they're the majority and they can change it whenever they get good and ready to, actually. In America, we're behind enemy lines. So, but we still understand racism, white supremacy, and what it was, because we were in the same position after slavery where they had the wealth and we had nothing.